Hercules? Hello, I'm Rebecca of Pocketful of Poseys. Today's project is one that I'm very excited about. It is the beginning of my Natural Form Era gown, the tied back underskirt. I'm really excited to share this with you, so without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go! I will be using these 3 Truly Victorian patterns for my Natural Form gown. TV221, the 1878 tie-back underskirt. TV328, the 1880 split pannier overskirt. And TV422, 1880 dinner bodice. Starting with the underskirt, I chose the unruffled option because I will trim the hem with ribbon and lace. I used silk tissue taffeta in a pale pink shade. It is very light and thin. I couldn't find heavier silk taffeta to use in my budget, so I went with the tissue taffeta, and it's fine. It's just thin. I acted responsibly and started with a mock-up. I only cut about half the length of the skirt panel since the hips and waist are what need to be fitted. I sewed it with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. The pattern calls for 1/2 inch, and I also added 1 inch to center front because my corseted measurements are larger than the pattern. And yes, I'm sewing in my shift. After the mock-up, I felt confident enough to move on to cutting the silk. My next step was pinning the skirt panels together. This skirt has a front piece, 2 side front pieces, 2 side back pieces, and a back piece. To the machine to sew the skirt panels together, leaving an opening at the left back and side back seam. And I poked myself with a pin, so I had to wait, then I continued on. Next, I folded up the hem and pinned it in place. I sewed the hem by hand. Then I pinned the waistband on with assistance from Hercules. I lined the waistband with some cotton organdy for extra stability. I pleated the back skirt to fit the waistband. Next, I tried out trim options and decided on pink and blue lace and a flowered ribbon. Then I sewed the trim on, out of frame. After sewing the waistband on, I trimmed the seam allowance. Then I folded the waistband to the inside and pinned it in place. I used a whip stitch to secure the waistband on the inside of the skirt. I also turned a narrow hem to the inside at the opening and sewed it down. All that was left was to attach skirt hook and bar and the ties on the inside. I neglected to film putting the ties on, but there are marks on the pattern where you attach the ties, and that's what ties it back on the inside. Then it was finished. I love the color of this skirt and I'm very pleased with how it came out. It was easy to sew and could go together very quickly if you used less hand sewing than I did. Even with the hand sewing, I finished this in about 7 hours over 2 days, and probably 5 of those hours were pinning and hand sewing. I'm very excited to continue the rest of my Natural Form Era Sew Out of My Comfort Zone project. The next part in this project will be my bodice. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you spending your time with me. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't, and if you'd like to be notified whenever I upload, you can hit that bell icon. Also, if you'd like to support the channel further, I have a Ko-fi account and that is linked down below. I hope you will join me next week for my new Natural Form Era bodice video. And please check out the playlist, Sew Out of My Comfort Zone. There are other costumers in there as well who are taking advantage of this fun challenge and sewing out of their comfort zones. Thanks again, and I will see you on our next sewing adventure. Bye!